Hello again everyone and welcome back. This is part 6 of our Polar Lights Enterprise 1/350 scale refit build-up. And tonight we're on the bench working on the shuttle bay a little bit more. We're going to be doing the walls, doing some painting there, and we're going to be adding the photo etch parts for the little window bays on there, and I'll show you how I'm going to cut those out and get those installed. We'll get that all painted up and pick out some colors for that. And we'll get to that in just a second. We'll show you a couple more things here at the end. I've got a couple of questions that I received on the channel here about some of the things that I do, and I'll reply to you directly on that and show you how I do those things, so we'll get to that. But in the meantime, I just want to take a real quick moment here and thank everybody after the announcement I made on the last video about the line of paints that I'm going to have available and the model kit building service. I've had a tremendous response about that stuff from you guys. I really appreciate it, and we're going to get to work on that right away. And so if you guys have any more questions about that, real soon I'm going to have a website up about that that'll give you a lot more information, and we're going to get things going real quick on that. So again, thanks a bunch for the response, really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get things rolling here, and let's head over to the bench and get things started on our shuttle bay. We'll see you over there. Okay everybody, so here we are, we're set up on the bench again, and what I'm going to be doing tonight, let me see if I can get a little bit more light over here for you. I'm going to be starting out by working on removing this plastic here where these little windows are on both sides of the shuttle bay. And we've got these nice little photo etch parts that go over top of that, these little plates, if I can find them on here. Here they are. And we're going to be placing those over top of that once we're done. So I don't have to be super precise on my drilling. These windows are, these brass parts are nice light blockers, so I don't have to worry too much about getting off a little bit. So what I'm going to do is start cutting these out. What I've got here is my little Dremel tool like usual, with a medium-sized drill bit in there, and I'm just going to punch out each window and then start kind of hogging it out a little bit, and we'll get our windows shaped in roughly. Then we're going to lay our photo etch part over top, so it doesn't have to be very precise on this. So let me get going here. Okay, we got the first one through. I'm going to crank up my speed here just a little bit. Again, we don't have to be very precise on these because our photo etch is going to cover up any imperfections on that. We just want to make sure we get the window, the hole big enough so that all the light will come through there. We're not blocking any of it. Some pretty thick plastic on this piece. Alright, we're done with that side. We're going to hog those out a little bit more, but we're just getting some rough holes put in place here to begin with. She's fighting it a little bit. This is some tough stuff. Okay, well, we've got those all punched out. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up real quick and get my ceramic tile out again, and get these little pieces cut out so I can start laying them on there and see how much more plastic I got to remove. So let me pause here for a second. We'll come back and work on that. Be right back. Alright there everyone, so you can see what I've done here is I've used my Dremel tool with the medium-sized drill bit on that, and I've just went ahead and I've just connected the dots on these holes here and just ground out these nice little slots. Now, they don't look very pretty right there, but the beauty of this photo etch is that we're going to hide all that. So just by putting this on over top of it, we wanted to make sure that we ground out enough of that material out of there so that it doesn't interfere with any of the edges of the windows when this is in place. And so that came out really good. If I can get a little closer to this for you. So we're ready to go. Now, I don't want to glue these on and paint this just yet, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these sides, and then I'm going to paint these a different color to add a little bit of accent there, and then we're going to go ahead and use some CA glue to attach these. And then what we're going to do in the very end here is we're going to come with some crystal clear, and we're going to put that in so that when we add some lighting on the back of these windows here, that crystal clear is going to help bring that to the surface and bring it right to the front of the windows here in the shuttle bay, so it'll give a realistic effect. So let me go ahead and get some paint picked out for this, and I'll show you. We're going to actually show you doing the spray work on this one. I'm going to light block these on the back side first with some black, and then we're going to at our color here, which I've chosen sort of an off-white to light gray for this. Again, I want this area here, the floor I chose a dark color, but I want this area here on the sides to be fairly light so that I can do some contrasting colors and I can get quite a bit of, I want that to be pretty bright in there. So let me pick out some paint here and get that mixed up, and we'll come back and show you the paint work on this. So here we go, be right back. So as you can see, we're back and we have our pieces laid together on the little area here. I'm getting ready to hit these with my airbrush. I've got some off-white color that I mixed up, loaded up in the gun. And what I did is I went in and painted these in the back. I've got an adhesion promoter here on the front, and I've got some light blocking paint there on the back side. I used some black and then I used some white. I wanted the white to be in there because we're going to be bouncing some light around behind these to get that in there. It's a pretty tight fit against the hull, so we want as much brightness as we can get going on in there to get that light inside these little windows. And I'm going to go ahead and start shooting this. And like I said, I've got a little bit of just this off-white color here. I want these to be nice and bright, so here we go. Okay guys, well you can see that I've got some paint laid down on this now, and I've painted these photo etch parts here with a little bit darker shade just to give a little bit of contrast. I'll probably use that same color on some of the girder beams and things that are in here to get a little bit of contrasting colors like we talked about and add some detail. Then we've got our yellow railing, and we've got all these little cargo bay container decals and some other photo etch stuff that's got to go in there. But right now what I'm going to be doing is adding some crystal clear to these windows. Now crystal clear is made by Microscale Company, if you can see this in the picture here, and it's been out there a long time. And now this looks like Elmer's glue, and basically what you do is you can put this in anything, and you can like window ports or things that you want, and this will turn absolutely clear. It dries kind of slow. It'll take a good day or two for it to dry, but it'll turn completely clear. And so what we're going to do here is I've got these slots cut in from the back side here, and we're going to put some tape over top of these windows. And we're going to make sure that's on there nice and tight. And what this is going to do now is we're going to go in from behind here, and we're going to, I'm using this little syringe, which you can pick these up at a drugstore or whatever. These work really handy. I've got a Tester's cement glue tip that I put on this, and I basically stick this in the crystal clear and draw a little bit up out of there. And what I'm going to be doing now is just go ahead and injecting this in. Right behind the windows here. I'm going to try to keep it kind of thin, because the thinner you use this stuff, the faster it will dry. And I hope I'm in frame here for you, but you can see I'm just real carefully just putting a little bit down in here. And with our tape there being on the front side, what that's going to do is keep this from leaking out. And after this is all completely dried, I'll let this sit for a good day or two. I'll be able to go in there and pull the tape off, and we should have some nice windows that are perfectly flush on the front side. So let me switch here and get this other one done. This works really good now. I showed this before on one of my other builds. I think it was the Reliant, but you can do this. I see people out there using that dental acrylic or whatever that is, and you have a lot of problem with it getting bubbles in it, and it's kind of hard stuff to work with. This is so much easier, and it's readily available. You can get it at pretty much any hobby store. And again, you can inject this. So let's say you had a model that you had painted and you're ready to go, and you've got all your window ports done on that. A lot of people have asked me, okay, Boyd, how do you go in and mask off all those windows, or do you paint in those, and how do you do that? Well, I paint the entire model, and then there's a limit to how big of a gap this will fill, but for most Star Trek models, for example, on the Refit Enterprise that I'm doing now, this 350, all the external windows on that ship will be filled with crystal clear. I probably will use hardly any of the included plastic windows. You will not be able to tell the difference at all. This dries perfectly clear. All except probably the Arboretum window. That window there is kind of big. That gives you an example of maybe how big of an area that this will cover and not sink in. So, like I was saying, basically if you had all the window ports there on the outside of the refit, you could just basically go in there and start injecting this stuff in. Now it's kind of water soluble like Elmer's glue is, so if you get a little extra smeared around on the outside of the model, just take a damp cloth. I prefer not a paper towel because it can leave debris, but I prefer to use like a lint-free detailer's towel, for example. And I'll just put a little bit of water on that with my pump spray bottle here, and I'll just wipe off the excess, and it wipes off perfectly smooth, doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. Here in the picture you can probably see the crystal clear up against the back side of the tape here. So those are going to come out perfectly clean. You won't have anything leaking out or anything like that. In my opinion, it's just a lot better to work with than that dental acrylic. And like I said, that stuff's expensive. This is very inexpensive, around $2.50 for this bottle, and I've been working this bottle here for probably at least 2 or 3 model builds, and I'm not even half empty yet. And it just works really, really well. Another product that's very similar to that is this other stuff here called Canopy Glue. And it does the same thing. The only difference being this dries a little bit faster and it dries slightly less clear. It's a little bit opaque when it dries. So maybe if you had something that you wanted light to come through or something like that, but you don't really want to be able to see into it. For example, like doing maybe lenses on the back for engines or different things like that. Anyways, areas that you didn't want to really see in it, but you want light to come through, you can use this. Now, another cool thing about this stuff is, say you wanted some colors, like you wanted some clear areas that you wanted to have color. Regular household food coloring that you buy at the grocery store, you can mix it with this stuff. So you say you wanted it to be clear blue or clear red or clear green. You can mix food coloring with this stuff and it will turn out absolutely perfect when you're done. You'll be really happy with it. So anyway, that's what we're working with now. This will have to dry for a couple of days. I'll be coming back with more on this. We'll be doing more photo etch detail and things like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the camera. We're going to talk a little bit about some things, and I'm going to answer some questions that came in here on the channel. And one of them was about fiber optics and how you connect fiber optics to LEDs. We'll go to that right now, and we'll set up and we'll show you how we do that here. We'll be right back with that in just a second. Okay, everybody, well, it's time for this episode's question and answer session that I'm going to start doing on the channel. I got a nice question from a gentleman named Paul Fiddler, and Paul is working with an Enterprise Refit build, and he asked me a question about fiber optics and how those fiber optics are attached to LEDs. He's having some difficulty attaching those to the LED chaser board that he's using for the landing light sequencer in his shuttle bay of his refit, and he was wondering my method for getting that done. Well, let me show you the way that I do it here, Paul. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and one of the ways you mentioned that you're trying is using shrink wrap. But a lot of times that shrink wrap just won't shrink down small enough to really grip this fiber optic. And so my method here is, what I'll do is I'll take a little drill like this small little Dremel, and I'll put a bit in there that's about the same diameter as this fiber that I have here. And keep in mind that when you drill into this, you're going to get a slightly bigger hole than the diameter of the bit, because you're drilling into plastic, and just the movement of the bit or whatever, it's going to cause a little bit bigger hole. But that's actually okay, because we want our fiber to slide into that. Now if you look closely at these LEDs, you can see that there's a diode inside of these. And basically this whole area here is empty space, so you can drill into this fairly deep. You just don't want to drill deep enough that you're going to actually get into hitting the diode that's in there and damage it, and then it won't light anymore. So I'll drill maybe about 1/8 of an inch or so, and that's about it. Now what I'm going to do is just run my bit really slow here, and just kind of being careful and trying to keep it centered. I'm just going to drill a nice little hole right in the middle, and it'll try to dance around on you a little bit, but it'll eventually, if you just keep holding it, it'll go in there. And I'm drilling in, and I'm kind of getting an idea how deep I'm going there. But not very deep. Like I said, maybe not even 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch or something like that, a little more. And we're going to see now that our fiber will, if I can get a hold of it here, fit inside this hole. And there you go, I've got it pushed in there. Now, there's been different conversations about what you can use with fiber optics to secure it with the glues and adhesives and things. Now, fiber is a series of very thin strands of material there that's kind of sensitive, and a lot of people say that you can't use like CA glue on that. Now what I found out is that CA glue will destroy this if you use CA and you let it sit on there. But what I've got here in front of me is I've got this product called Zip Kicker. This is a product that works with CA type glues that instantly causes the glue to cure the minute it hits it. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a little drop of CA right there on the top there where the fiber is running into it, trying to keep that pretty minimum. I don't want to glob a whole bunch on there. And then right away I'm going to hit that with that kicker, and what that's going to do is that's going to instantly dry that, and it's not going to allow the CA to start attacking this fiber, and it's going to work just fine. Now, a lot of people will use Elmer's glue or this microcrystal clear or other different slower drying products, or even hot glue. And hot glue will work as long as it's not too hot and it doesn't actually melt the fiber. But this method here works really well. So I'm going to show you what I do here. Try to keep this in the camera for you. And I'm just going to put a tiny little drop right there at the tip. Just enough to make some contact on that. And then I'm going to hit it with this. Now what that's going to do is that's instantly dry that, so that it doesn't allow the CA glue to start attacking that fiber. As you can see here, we're stuck. We're good. That's not going to come out. So that works really, really well, and that might be a method you could use for doing your attachment to your sequencer. Then you could come and put some something over top of that if you want to kind of isolate it or keep the light down or something. And some people are saying that they coat these fibers with paints and things like that, but I don't really think it makes that much of a difference to try to get more light out the end of it. Now, one little method that I will show you here that does help your fibers out a lot is called mushrooming the tip. Now basically what you're doing, so whenever you cut this fiber, you're actually you're kind of going to dull it down a little bit because it's not a nice clean surface. And what a lot of guys have done in the past is they'll go back with some fine sandpaper or something and kind of try to polish that, and or maybe even put a little bit of clear coat on that to make it look a little bit a little smoother and transmit the light a little bit better. Now another method you can use for that is just using a simple lighter or a candle or something like that. You can actually make this a little bit larger, and you create a little bit of a mushroom on that, and it's going to make that expand. So let me show you how that works here. Now you're going to start up the flame, and you're just going to start moving toward it. You don't want to actually put it right in the flame. And you can see that when I get to a certain point here, it's just going to all of a sudden melt the tip. You see what it's starting to do there? Now I'm going to get a little bit closer, and you'll see when it hits, it just all of a sudden that end will just shrink right up. Just like that. Now if you look at this from the front now, you can see that it's doing just what I said. It's sort of like mushroomed right over there. Now the nice thing about that is that if you had this on a surface, say like you were doing this on a, you wanted a light on the outside of a model, or you had a little control panel or something detail you wanted to have light, you can actually now pull this up tight, and it's not going to pull through the hole. You know, make sure your hole's small enough diameter where your fiber basically passes through there, but the little tip will not allow it to pass through. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to light this with my, let me get it connected to the battery here, and this is at 9 volts, and you can see that this is going to be quite a bit, it's going to really put out some nice light compared to just that bare piece of fiber that we had on there before. Let me get this connected right here. Kind of a crude way of doing this, but let me turn off the overhead light here. Now if you can see this in the shot, if I get rid of that, let me see if I can zoom on that for you a little bit here. Hopefully it's showing up for you. But you can see that's a nice bright light there coming out of there, and what it does also is, since it creates that mushroom effect, it increases the visibility angle of that. So if you're off to the side or whatever, you can see that it's still transmitting the light really nice. So we've got a nice green effect there, and like I said, that's all connected on there good. That's not going to go away. So Paul, I hope that helps you out. That might be something that you can try on your sequencer board to get your fibers connected. And again, this product here is available at most hobby shops in their glue section, and this is really handy for a lot of things. For example, when I was doing my zoom back out here, now this is the product I was trying to show you, the Zip Kicker. When I do all my strip lighting on my models and add that LED tape on there, I don't exactly trust that. adhesive that's on there. So what I'll do is I'll put that down and I'll put a couple drops of CA on that, and then I'll spray it real quick with this stuff too, and it locks everything down in place. I can also, when I'm working with my magnet wire here, I can make my wiring and lay it all in there and then just add a little drop of CA glue and hit it with that too, and that's all instantly locked down, so I can go and work my way along and just keep going and not have wires flopping all over the place and things like that, and keep it nice and neat. So I hope those little things help you out there. And again, thanks for sending in the questions. I appreciate it. Be happy to answer them for you. We'll try to do that on each one of these video updates. So if you guys have a question out there, something you want to know about the models or something, or a little something that you're having a little problem with, send it on in and I'll see if I can get it taken care of for you. So that's going to be a wrap for this episode, guys. We'll be back with part 6, actually part 7. This was part 6. So we'll be back with that in a couple more days, some more progress. We're going to be doing more work on the shuttle bay and getting all those photo etch parts put in. I'll show you one last look at how our parts coming along here and give you an idea of the color contrast that we're going to be talking about here on this thing, if I can set this together right. Let me see here, I've got to figure out which way this exactly goes here. Just like that. Okay. Well, this is just going to be just real temporary here. Well, anyway, I'm not going to be able to get it all the way together without messing with these pins, but these are the color contrasts that we're going to be working with on the shuttle bay floor, and I think that's going to light up really nice. I've done the ceiling in this same color here. Like I said, I want a lot of light getting in there. I want this to be lit up so you can see everything in there and the detail that we're going to spend so much time doing. So, alright guys, well that's a wrap. We'll be back, like I said, until we see you next time. Happy modeling out there and take care. We'll see you next time.